Please put your hands together for Emily Trenouf, Nikki Lilly, Patricia Bright, and Lucas Sika.
Where did you get started, and where did you, how did you go where you are right now?
I worked in a city, I have a background in accounting, and I still worked for like 6 to 7 years, like career girl, and I had these 2 separate lives, like corporate, black and white, in the city, all men is who I worked with. And then I was like doing my makeup and doing all these videos on YouTube, and they never knew. But eventually I could see that, oh, this is an industry. I'm leaving to put makeup on the internet at the time was like a very crazy thing, but it paid off. I made the jump, it paid off, and I've had a 10-year-long career, but there was no real strategy. It was kind of authentic community growth. We can now see that this is a growing industry and the creator economy is here to stay.
On that, what advice would you give to other content creator, like, in order to build their business and have this financial side as well?
Behind the scenes, I was very much strategic about what I was doing. So I thought about content I was making. So I really thought about this as a business model and not to be too emotional about it. That's like the thing I think about when I make content.
Nikki, coming to you, I think you have a hugely inspiring story. How did you get into, content creation? Where are you at today as well?
So I was diagnosed with my condition when I was 6 years old. And so the way that I coped with that and escaped from that was watching videos on YouTube, as a lot of us do on our, we're having a rubbish day, we turn to social media, we turn to YouTube as escapism. I was so just in love with filming stuff, and just, it was such a passion for me. Didn't even know that you could get followers or anything like that, because it was so like innocent and just something that I truly had a passion and love for. The BBC, who's a TV company in the UK, contacted me to do a documentary about my life, and then that actually ended up going on and winning an Emmy, which was insane.
Yeah,
well,
wow.
Thank you.
That's big.
Thank you. But I love makeup as anyone else can. I love fashion, all of these things that kind of build a community. In like around COVID time, I kind of was like, okay, need to start TikTok. I kind of spotted like, okay, this is where people are going. It's short form, it's very different to YouTube. And it's another way, I guess, to like show your personality. Initially, I really didn't know what I would do on TikTok. I didn't know what the platform would be for me. And so I kind of tried a lot of things that I enjoyed. So I did some fashion content, did some makeup stuff. You have to think about the way that you share things, because I think ultimately, like, people want to be engaged. So it's then thinking about, okay, it's like a 15-second, 1-minute video. How can I make it count? I did quite a lot of videos without talking, so I had to let the videos and the content speak for itself. I'm doing makeup, I have a visible difference. That's kind of what sets me apart. So I think it's thinking about how can you transition what you already love and what's a passion into something that's short form that will be, conveyed in like a 15-second, 1-minute way. It's so trial and error.
Yeah.
I think practice is everything. It's an evolution, it's a natural progression. So also see what people engage with, people don't. I think it has to be a mixture of seeing what works and what people enjoy, but also what you enjoy. It's practice, it's trial and error, it's a process,
How do you manage to be authentic while you're actually promoting products? But also, at the end of the day, you have a business and you need to earn from what you guys are doing.
If you're a creator, you like to talk about stuff, you like to put yourself out there. So fundamentally, part of my personality is the fact that I love talking about products. That's what I literally came online doing. And I'm a purchaser. It's like, tell me the details about that. Let me watch that ad. I'm buying it. And then I'm going to tell all my friends, I bought this thing. It's absolutely amazing. So it was easy for me to come online and kind of share what I love, because I truly cared about it and connected with it. And then I kind of just did whatever I wanted to do. And lo and behold, like, I had the most amount of like engagement and clicks and like monetization when I just did what I really felt like I wanted to do.
Like, you had the freedom to
choice.
select what you wanted. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I think, especially if you build an audience, they can also see when what you're talking about is something that you actually care about and makes sense. Being honest and transparent is everything, and choosing brands that you actually are passionate about and will make sense for you to be talking about. So for example, if you do makeup content and then you're working with a makeup brand, that's something that's so easy for you to talk about and implement, because it's something that you're passionate about and you love. People realize that, especially these days, that this is a job and we have to make money from it, and a big way is through doing those brand deals and those contracts and things like that. And so I think they respect that, but I think it's all about, starting with leading with honesty and leading with transparency.
Emily, you worked, both on brand agency side as well. How has the industry evolved?
When I first came into this, it was really tricky to even convince brands to invest in influencers. So, we've come a long way. And now, as Amazon, we're putting on this huge event for creators. It's a really nice sort of 360 moment looking at how far we've come. I think the industry is evolved in the sense of validating how and why we should partner with creators. And before, working with creators was really seen as like a nice to have kind of add-on. Maybe we'll do a creator campaign on top of, TV and other stuff. And now it's just a must-have. And we're seeing creators and brands like you guys as well, working across such a different sphere, whether it's TV commercials, books, using influencers as models in shoots. And we're seeing, creators as, in billboards now. That's a huge shift from where we've come from kind of one post and a blog post maybe sort of in early days. So it's been really exciting. But I think the biggest shift has really been that kind of validation piece.
Yeah. From a creator perspective, what do you look at, to understand if your audience, like the products that you're recommending, how do you use that data? And then, how do you think brands are using this kind of measurement as well?
Like, it's a balance between following data and following your heart, right? I read comments. I also look at, what's going on in society, what could be valuable for the community. And I'm going to create against that versus just how many people click this link and how much money did I make? Like, it's not a good measurement for long-term growth. And I think if you naturally link and naturally have good engagement, then the brands are going to get the output that they want anyway. So my measure is much more emotional. But like, there's still something in it that we kind of have to feel to really get it out there and to create from something that isn't just data. But I think that's more important if you consider yourself to be a creative, which I think a lot of us are.
You, Emily, what do you think on a brand perspective? What's the shift?
We love data. And I think it's a really hard balance, right, between justifying why we're doing what we're doing, because everything that we do, we spend and we invest a lot of money in. So we have to justify, what's the value of this for brands? But then on the same side, not like holding creators against their will, saying sell. So we're trying to understand, how do we communicate that to other people to say, well, look, a post might go viral. It might also sell out of a product, but sometimes it's really hard to predict when and what that will be. The biggest thing now that we see is the strength of the community, and the relationship with the community is where you see the best results. And sometimes that isn't, based on follower count or...
It is not. I want to say it out loud. It is not.
Yeah.
It's super interesting to see the shift and how we can, manage and balance. And that's also the reason why we're doing this kind of, events to meet all our creators, because behind the data, there are people. Patricia, you've worked with Amazon for a few years now. Can you tell us a bit more about kind of like your experience?
It was great because they really gave me freedom and also guidance. Creating something myself was a really, really good journey into working out what my community wanted. And I think this is, for most creators, if you've got an engaged audience, they actually want things that you create. And I think that's just where the world is probably going to be going as a creator. And then again, using the influencer program, I think the value in it is so amazing in terms of the shop, the storefront that everyone talks about, just so valuable. Just knowing that there's an easier way to kind of generate those links, put it out there, have it in a storefront, share with my community, that's just a great tool.
What did you learn that for your business in general?
So finding good partners who care about your journey is super important. So I definitely had that with The Drop. There was so much freedom, but we worked together, and that I didn't feel constrained. So that was absolutely amazing. When it comes to like the influencer program, I've been around for quite a long time. So people come to me, they're like, okay, how can I monetize a bit more? So I think that's why you used me as a voice, and I really appreciate that.
I think Nikki would love to hear a bit more as well from you. I know you've transition as well from like social media to more traditional channels recently, like TV and writing a book.
For me, I started off doing the documentary. ultimately mainstream media and TV isn't what it used to be. Not everyone logs on to TV every night and watches something. It's like, okay, I'm going to watch YouTube, I'm going to watch, another streaming platform. So I think it's definitely in the future to see more people from social media on TV. But would I say it's the future? I mean, I think there's a lot of people that TV wouldn't work for them. So I think it really just depends on the direction that you want to go in.
Yeah.
But even like with the book, like that was something that made sense because of what I was doing the book about. I think a lot of the opportunities in social media will arise for you, and you want to just say yes to everything, but it's just making sure that it makes sense and it's an area you feel comfortable in, pursuing.
Again, on the brand side, I think, Emily, what advice would you give to creators here who wants to partner with, on more project, but also with more brands?
I think the first thing I would say is take the time to think about what about this brand aligns with me. How can I partner with this brand in a really authentic way? And what could that look like? Because also brands need fresh ideas, and you guys have the passion, you have the creativity, you have the connection with your audience, you know what they like. That's where the best and most successful campaigns are. It's when you align that trust, that authenticity that you've built with your community for such a long period of time with really kind of authentic storytelling moments, and then brands can sort of weave into that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have our brand messaging sometimes that, around key moments of the year, and that's always going to have its place. But for those bigger opportunities, I think that's a really nice way to come to something.
I think it's a real collaboration. That's what you're saying as well, right? It's not just like either getting a brief or saying, I want to work absolutely with, this brand. I think it's finding the right messaging and the right angle maybe to make it work, but also so that it's exciting for, I guess, for people watching it, right? So it's not just another, hey, this is the product, but why? And it comes back to authenticity and sharing your true story.
And it doesn't just have to be on social.
Yeah.
It could be, I'm writing a book and I'd really love to do an audiobook series with you, and then a podcast. And I think the opportunities are so broad now, but we need guidance still from you in terms of what's right for you. Because like you guys have been saying, TV is not right for everyone. Writing a book isn't right for everyone. So you know what you're best at and what your craft is, and how can you really co-create together? I think that's
maybe that's the answer to our big question. What's the future of influencing? Is it the co-creation, guys? What do you think?
The future is really depending on, as an individual creator, identifying what your key goals are, and then kind of having a strategy like to kind of push that forward. But I think when it comes to being a creator, it's kind of sitting down and thinking about what do you want to do from this in the long term. And if you want to be famous, listen, be famous. That's great as well, like if that's the goal. If you want monetization, build a business, then you have to be a little bit more strategic about it. But the future is bright. There's a lot there.
The future is broad and bright. On that note, guys, I would like to thank our amazing panelists. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you from all of us at Amazon for joining the Influencer Program and taking part in the first ever Amazon Influencer Summit in Europe. Until next time. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. So long, peace out.